Greetings, adventurers. This is DM Kurt, and what I'm hearing is that Jeremy Crawford has announced that Planescape is coming to 5th edition. Planescape being the 2nd edition campaign setting where your characters could go off into the outer planes of existence or go visit the elemental planes, go find things, worlds beyond worlds. This is different than Spelljammer. Spelljammer was you get on a boat and this boat flies from one planet to another. So you get from one existing campaign setting to another. You can do it as a taxi, or you could basically use any naval or sci-fi movie and you could kind of make an adventure based on that because it was sort of naval, sort of space. You're traveling between planets. Now, Planescape was weirder. So you could travel to a place called the City of Brass, located in the elemental plane of fire, where the Efreet and the fire elementals live. You're going to need, magical protection against fire, but you could go there. You could go to the Nine Hells and fight devils in their own home turf. You could go visit the Mechanus, the plane of order, where everything's big gears and these little robot dudes are running around all on their appointed tasks. You could go to the more chaotic places where just the forces of randomness are acting in their own way. Super neat. And at the center of this was a place called Sigil, the City of Doors. It was a torus shaped city where basically the map was flat and then curved, and then curled in on itself like a hollow donut. This place was a city of portals, some guarded, some not, some labeled, some not. There were factions that all had their own things that they wanted to do, and the setting of the city was very Victorian England, with its own set of slang and whatnot. That's cool. So you can go to all these weird places and you could fight challenging monsters. You could have challenging adventures for high-level characters, which is what 5e needs. So Planescape could be what they needed years ago for 5e. A way to challenge high-level characters without having to customize the living bejeebers out of your monsters, or have just vast huge monsters that would crush a civilization, and then you have to do this additional layer of suspension of disbelief to say, oh yeah, that's totally reasonable for 5 dragons to be traveling together across your world. And you have the prey animals to support that. Okay, we don't worry about ecosystems out in the weird world out there beyond our own world. Cool. This could be what 5e needed if they do it right. But we are talking about the people that brought us the most recent Dragonlance and the most recent Spelljammer. And when they brought us Spelljammer, it was 3 books where you had all the cardboard you could want and just this much material. That's a pinky for comparison. That's a little thicker than a comic book. And this is the material you're given. Yeah, you don't have enough material for the money you're paying for this stuff. So you're better off converting 2nd edition Planescape, which had stacks and stacks of material. Just converting that into 5e. Or you could do better than that. You could play it in 2nd edition rules. You could still get all the 2nd edition books. You can get brand new 2nd edition Player's Handbooks, DM's Guide, etc., print on demand at Drive-Thru-RPG. Or, I'm just throwing out this or, you could do like Decato's 1628. This seemed like brilliant to me. He wants to run it in Castles and Crusades. Now, he's going to have to do some conversion work. But most of the conversion work is going to be very light because C&C is closer to 2nd edition than 5e is. Now there's some monsters and some character PC races that aren't in CNC. He could either disallow them or he could, whip something up real quick. But the game system, despite any conversion work you have to do, the game system should be quicker to run. So let's take initiative. Let's run a quick combat here. First is initiative. In second edition, it's 1d10 plus your dexterity modifier. Castles and Crusades, straight d10. Second edition, you might add weapon speed factor. Castles and Crusades, no such thing. Don't worry about it. Just you throw a d10, yeah. Cool. Rolling to hit with second edition, d20 plus an attribute bonus. You have different attribute bonuses for the same attribute number depending on which attribute it is. Like a 16 strength is +0 to hit, +1 to damage. However, a 16 dexterity may be, I want to say +1 or 2 to hit. Okay, and then depending on your character class and level, your roll could or could not hit. You got to check a table on that. Okay, Castles and Crusades. Roll to hit, 1d20 plus your attribute. 16 strength gives you the same bonus as a 16 dexterity. Figure out which one you're using. Add your proficiency bonus, also called a base to hit, on top of that. Cool. You may have situational modifiers, but both systems have that. Okay, cool. That's what you hit. The AC you rolled is what AC you hit, because we're using ascending armor class. Monsters. Monsters got to roll to hit. Okay. Second edition. It's an 8 hit die monster. It's check the chart for what THAC0 it has. Castles and Crusades. It's an 8 hit dice monster. I roll 1d20 plus 8. Simple. And that's the AC I hit. Cool. So he could end up with Planescape that runs quicker than it did under its home edition rules. I mean, that sounds pretty smart to me. I'm considering Castles and Crusades upcoming. We will see what the table will agree to. I'm going to do a little bit of modification. I'm going to use the option. I want to use the optional luck points. I want to use the optional skill check to do spell casting, and I want to bump up the healing. I'm thinking 1d6 plus con modifier plus level. Now that's way more generous than CNC. That's how much you get overnight. Okay, it's more generous than first or second edition D&D. But it's nowhere near the ridiculousness of 5e's napping a sandwich, you're good to go. Full hit points after a night's rest. Oh, you were nearly killed? Well, you know what? If you make it through the night, you're good to go. 100% health. I think that's a little too far. So we're going to be doing that. Anyway, back to it. So, yeah, Planescape is supposedly coming. And I doubt that you're going to get a lot of material. I'm going to get 3 of these little comic books if they do it the way they did Spelljammer. The other thing is, because it's 2023, this is their last full year of 5th edition. 2024 is their upcoming thing that they've changed the name of. It was 1D&D, the virtual tabletop. It was, we're not calling it anything. They can't even decide what they want to call it. But they're planning, they're on the build up to this other thing. They're not going to be putting their whole efforts into the twilight year of a game edition, a game system. So I don't think it's going to be that good. And that's going to be sad. And they're going to charge you too much for what you get. That's my suspicion. I hope for the best out of this. And I hope the people that buy it really enjoy it. Because it has all the potential for giving you what 5e doesn't give you. Challenge for high-level characters. But we'll see. DM Kurt, out.